Welcome back to the Capes and Tights podcast right here on capesandtights.com. I'm your host, Justin Soderberg. This episode is once again brought to you by our friends at Galactic Comics and Collectibles at galacticcomicsandcollectibles.com. We welcome back to the podcast Jeremy Haun, and to the podcast Mike Tisserand, to talk about their upcoming series over at Ignition Press, the debut series at Ignition Press, Murder Podcast. But before you listen to this episode, check out us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, all those places. You can rate, review, subscribe over on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcast. You can also find us on YouTube. And as always, you can visit us at capesandtights.com for so much more. But this is Jeremy Haun and Mike Tisserand talking about Murder Podcast from Ignition Press. Enjoy, everyone. Welcome to the podcast, gentlemen. How are you guys today?
Great. We're ready for this.
Are you ever? Yeah. Is anybody ever ready for this though? I mean,
no. I started this with a lie. Let's be honest. I'm like, I need more coffee and a nap. How about that? Is that a good opener?
Yeah, it's a canned answer.
Yeah, I recorded earlier with David, Ian, and Rebecca McKendry, who wrote Barstow for Dark Horse. And they are like, yeah, we'll get on. It's going to be 8 o'clock a.m. this time. It's 11 o'clock your time. And I'm like, you guys really want to do a podcast at 8 o'clock in the morning? They're like, our kids are up. We're up at 6 o'clock. I'm like, okay, whatever. If you want to do that, that's cool with you. I mean, usually people want to do the opposite side. They want to do it at 9 o'clock at night, not 8 o'clock in the morning. But I appreciate you guys taking the time out to chat and hear about all things comics, murder podcasts, all that stuff. So, again, Jeremy, you've been on before, so a little bit people who've listened back might know who you are. Mike, you're a little unknown anyway, right? I mean, like you've been working in creation of animation and drawing and things like that for a while, but like in the comic book world, people don't really know who you are that much. Where the hell have you been? I read the first issue of Murder Podcast, and I'm just saying, where the hell have you been in my life?
Thank you. I don't know. Just floating around the world, yeah.
But like, so you've done some animation and stuff like that. What, when you and Jeremy friends? How did this come to be about you starting to illustrate for Murder Podcast?
Well, probably I think it was 2013. Jeremy and I were put in touch, and we worked on the Kickstarter.
Bad Karma.
Bad Karma. I have bad intention stuck in my head. Sorry. Bad Karma. Okay. It's on my bookcase here. But yeah, that was the start of it. And then I kind of wandered back to animation for a decade plus. And then we got back in touch here. And Murder Podcast began.
Exactly. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh, I was gonna say it was kind of like there's people that you work with briefly. We did this story called Chaos Agent for Bad Karma. And you have people that you work with and you're like, oh yeah, that was great, and then you kind of move on. And then you have people that kind of haunt you forever. And really that was for me. I liked him, I liked his work, and I was always like, oh, I kind of want to do more of something. It didn't matter what it was. And so I think it really became this thing where we check in with one another, just, life, so on and so forth. But like pointedly once a year, I'd be like, hey, do you want to come back and do comics? And it wasn't until this where just like the moon and stars aligned perfectly. And I love that I saw the magic of what he does and was like, everybody's going to love this. And now seeing everybody just reacting in the best way, it's a great feeling.
It's so I've been a fan of Jeremy's work for a while. So the first volume of The Beauty is one of my favorite volumes of comic books there is. And so there's a mixture of the writing and the illustration in there that really does it for me. And so my review hasn't been published yet for a Murder Podcast #1, but when it goes out there, one of the things I say is I really love and wish that you would do all the work, Jeremy, until someone else does the artwork, and then I'm like, oh, it makes sense. Like, not that it's better, it's one of those things that's like, oh, okay, this works, and I really like this and really enjoy this. And so to me, it was like, oh, like opening the issue, I'm like, this is not gonna be what I want to see Jeremy Haun draw on this. And then I open it up, I'm like, damn, I'm happy this is good. This is the way it is. And so that's how I felt with this murder podcast number 1, Mike. So not to make your head any bigger, but it was phenomenally illustrated, just so you know.
Thank you.
It's true though. I mean, and that does that go into it thinking about that, Jeremy, about the idea that yes, I mean, obviously, if you had all the time in the world, it's nice to do your own artwork to your own story, but like having someone as talented as Mike do the illustrations for you or in your comic book together, does that help ease the ability to make a good comic?
I mean, look, I'm a ridiculous masochist. Like I want to write and draw everything,
Mhm.
and I think even one of the biggest challenges for me in my career was always like I kept holding back, the laundry list, the 20 things on this list that I wanted to do. So I was like, I gotta write them and draw them the whole thing, which that's not healthy.
Mhm.
That's a ridiculous. I will never in my lifetime write and draw all the stuff that I would want to do. So I have a rule. I only work with people that are better than I am. Like
There you go.
that's like if I'm working with somebody, they're the person that can make that story shine. And when we were talking about murder podcast and especially, like there's this is the launch title from Ignition,
Yeah.
right? Like this is our new company and I'm so excited about everything with it. And I'm like I'm not going to draw this thing. I don't have time to draw. I can't, if I just can't make it work. Who would be perfect for it?
Mhm.
And we talked a lot about, different artists. And I was like, I've got this guy that, like, I think if we let him loose and let him do his thing, it would be so much more disturbing than if I drew it.
Yeah.
Is it really like it's like even like just the cold open, there's a moment
Yeah.
that I wrote into it, and again we're doing spoiler free, so I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
but there's a moment where I wrote a bit of violence and I was like, oh, it's like this, and then Mike, because you're seeing it in this beautiful stylized style,
Mhm.
it's so much more disturbing when he does it, and it's like that all through the series.
It's a beautiful you may the discussion of saying that hiring someone or not hiring someone, working with someone that is better than you is kind of funny because I mean, let's be honest, we all are our own worst enemies on that too. So like a lot of people in my mind is better than me at what I do, but the truth of the matter is, like I said, I opened it and I was like, there couldn't be. It's one of those weird feelings you can't put your finger on, but I couldn't feel like it could be better illustrated. I just one of those, and it's the first time seeing it, and so on and so forth. And so that to me blew me away with it. But the story itself is pretty awesome and pretty, like the idea of a murder podcast or a true crime podcast of sorts involved in a horror comic book is not groundbreaking, right? Obviously, you know that,
Right.
Jeremy. This is not like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's the first person to ever think about this. However, the way you do it is to me is groundbreaking, fresh, unique perspective on it or take on it, and that's really cool. What was I know this is kind of for Mike here. What was it like taking this idea you guys worked on and illustrating it? Let's talk about that.
Uh, it was. I appreciate the kind words from
Yes.
Jeremy, but Jeremy's quite the artist, and so for me, it was intimidating. Because I think I told Jeremy this early on that I was reading the script and I was sort of in my mind, I'm like, well, how would Jeremy do this? And yeah, so it was intimidating. Just the way it plays out, it plays out
Yeah.
really well, and so you're just trying to hit those beats, um, you know, as well as you can, essentially,
Mhm.
to make as much of an impact on the reader as you can. And so, I was basically like a scared child, just
Mhm.
drawing this stuff, trying to punch it up, make it look good, make it play well, make it work. And but yeah, it was fun. And but definitely, coming from animation, going from boards to comics isn't a one-to-one thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's a bit of um, you know, figuring things out on the page and getting that more cartooning illustrative look to it, and just trying to get it work. So it
Yeah.
was intimidating. It was very rewarding. It's been fun, and yeah.
do you have a history in 2D and 3D animation, but like is a lot of that, is there any of that or any of it at all murdering people? Like is this like a common thread, is this or something new that you're working on with this stuff?
I think in 20 years I've only murdered one character in television. It was the most fun I had. So I've far exceeded that in
Okay, in
I'm
a couple
starting issue
issues, yeah,
5 here.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're
Mhm.
far over that, yeah. So it's different, but that's what I think I liked about it. And that's the thing Jeremy mentioned too, is the idea that the style kind of like not clashes, but works differently with it. It makes it so it takes a different approach when you read it and you see it. You're like not expecting it almost like you're reading a nice calm panel of someone talking, and then they turn the page, you're like, holy shit! And that I think is what did it for me. I think it was one of those things that was like not completely out of the way. It's not like you have this bubbly, Simpsons looking characters and all of a sudden I know they're being murdered. It's like this borderline of it that works for me. And I think that's what I think people are going to see it and, notice it, that it's like everyday people walking down the street. And then the next day you're seeing someone get their head cut off or something. That to me is, that's not spoiling anything, by the way, people. That's an arbitrary generic statement about getting a head cut off.
That is exactly what happens in issue
Yes.
two. So you ruined all of this, man. You
That's it. They're done. No, I mean I can't imagine. I mean, come on, a horror comic where someone doesn't get their head cut off. Let's go. Come on, like let's be honest. This is what it is. But so this is a first title. You had Cold Open, but this is the first title to be released under Ignition. I'm guessing this was planned to be this way. This is the purpose behind this series. So did a lot of thought go into that this is going to be the first title, and so you need to do something different and special with this?
um so the truth of it is that we had worked for quite a while building the line prior to, you know, laying out like, the release schedule
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And there was a we knew that Murder Podcast was going to be one of the launch titles,
Mhm.
but my own absolute need to not be, I don't really like being the center of attention on stuff ever. I don't like I it makes me nervous and uncomfortable. And also I have such a devotion to our entire, group of creators and I was like, no, my book shouldn't be the first one out. Like I don't, I'm a partner in the company, I'm the
Yeah.
creative director. I was like, no, I don't, and there was an internal discussion where like everybody kind of really talked about, what fit and what fit as a start for what we were doing. And they're like,
Mhm.
you and Mike are doing this thing, and it is kind of everything that we want to lead,
Mhm.
with. And I had to kind of set my weird feelings about that aside a little bit and be like, okay, this is going to be the first book. And then it
Mhm.
hit me that this is going to be the first book. And I got just terrified. I
Yeah.
was suddenly like, okay, well, yeah, no pressure. We joke that at Ignition, I'm kind of the guinea pig for a lot of the stuff that we do. If I'm the guy that's like, well, we're gonna try, we're gonna test a way to get a cold open in people's
Mhm.
hands, and sometimes stuff works, sometimes it doesn't. But the reason that we do it also with me sometimes is because we want to make sure that it's really perfect for the amazing people like, Stephanie Williams
Yeah.
or Cullen Bunn or Tim Seeley, like whenever they're coming in, like we want to make sure that it's perfect. So, no pressure.
Well, it makes sense. And I thought about it, like if you were to launch Ignition Press and you're the name per se, like if you the people that people would at least know, you've done some big two comics and things like that, so you have a name behind you at least. You have the beauty, you have the realm, stuff like that, Red Mother, but your cast of characters, your creators that are coming on and doing these comics, they're no simple names. Like they're all bangers. And so to me, it's not like you need your name to be like, oh, we're gonna put Jeremy Hahn's name on this because at least someone knows this name. Everybody else is just up and coming. No, all those people
Yeah.
out there could have had their initial comic book and people would have been like, yeah, I know who that is. So
Yeah.
it's not it's simple. Like I said, it's not a simple feat. But yeah, testing it with you, I can understand that, getting it right, figuring that out so that there you set the future creators comic book series up for success.
Well, and just, I mean, like it really did s- say a lot that they believed in this project enough to lead with it. You know, that
Hmm.
they really felt like we were doing something genuinely
Hmm.
special, and it was an honor. I mean, like we've worked really, really hard to try to live up to that, and you know, um, I'm writing issue 6 right now, and Mike's drawing issue 5, and having the latitude to work on this and get it. I mean, you know, like the book literally what comes out in 2 weeks, is it?
Yep.
Is it 2 weeks?
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, you know, like to be working this far ahead and to know where it's going and really
Hmm.
have such a strong foundation, it feels good, and it's the company believing in the people that we're working with. And you know, another nice thing is, like, you know, we can show that with this book. You know, we're
Hmm.
we're doing it the right way, and we are going to continue doing these things the right way.
We've talked a little bit so far about murder podcasts and so on, but can you explain what people who maybe not know what murder podcast is, a little bit about what the actual comic series is about?
So you know, so many of us are obsessed with podcasts, and you know, great stories, everything from, you know, like if you're into it, there's a podcast or seven for it,
Yeah.
right? And this thing started because a group of us were sitting around having a conversation, and I kept hearing a small group talking about some terrible thing. I was like, "What are you guys talking about? A horror movie?" And they were like, "Oh no, we're talking about this true crime podcast that we all listen to." And I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, that is more brutal than the plot of any horror movie that I've ever, you know, seen. It stuck with me that, like, we listen to podcasts, especially true crime podcasts, that are worse than anything that our crazy minds come up with, and people eat it up. You know, I mean, like, you know, and it's a wide demographic, but like, if you talk generally to a woman in their 30s to 50s, they're probably listening to some really disturbing true crime podcasts. And I kind of wanted to do something that like tapped into that connected with that audience. It's not just, you know, like the comic books that I'm wanting to tell and that I'm interested in telling. You know, I love superhero stories, but let's face it, horror and weird stuff, you know, like I want to connect with people that are, you know, my wife and her friends' ages. And so I kept thinking about it, and I kept writing this down, little notes about this thing, a group of women, so on and so forth. But the to answer your question, Murder Podcast is a story about a cursed podcast that, for some inexplicable reason, keeps popping up in people's feeds. Now, the trick of it is when you hit play, you black out. And when you come to, you have indiscriminately murdered everyone around you. There's no saving grace. There's no stopping because it's your family member or your best friend or people in a, you know, library or wherever it is. You just kill.
Hmm.
And these people, there's one of the things that I did for this, I wrote the entire first episode of the haunted podcast, this cursed podcast, Dead Sounds. And when you go into this fugue state, you speak with the podcast. It's coming in through your AirPods. But so you're saying, you know, on July 13th, you know, and so you have this person just walking towards you, talking, repeating a podcast while they brutally murder you. Yeah. And so it's, yeah, a story about a group of women that are podcast obsessives that decide they're going to try to solve this murder, this series of murders. And you know, it's everything goes kind of crazy from there.
It's true, and that's where I'm saying that unique, fresh take on it. I've recently read a couple of comics that had to do with something to do with true crime podcasts or so on and so forth. But the idea that it takes you over almost and makes you do unspeakable things, to me is is a kind of a unique thing in that. But it's not like it's unique. We've seen it in movies and things like that. But like it's one of those like that grasping it and putting it around that thing. But yeah, you're right. There is podcasts for anything, and there's true crime for anything. Like I've watched
Yeah.
documentaries recently on Netflix or whatever it may be about true crime. There's podcasts, there's books, there's all kinds of stuff. But the big thing I think it is that podcast is one of those things people are always listening to that podcast, and it's fascinating to me. Those same people sometimes could not watch a horror movie. Like they're like, no, I can't
Mhm.
watch a horror movie. Can't do that.
Mhm.
That's too much. That's too scary for me. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is about a person like your next door neighbor murdering someone. You're listening to it on a
Mhm.
podcast. You're like, no problem at all. But watching Mike Myers slash up people in Halloween, nope,
Oh
don't
yeah.
want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it's like if
absolutely
there's a
fascinating.
ghost in something, people are just like shutting down. But and that's the thing. It's like I wanted and like we sort of did this through like a really very, like horror story. I mean, there are definitely like some cosmic horror elements to this, and
Mhm.
where this comes from is it gets much bigger and crazier very, very quickly. Um, and I love that. I don't know, man. I just love making funny books, and we're having a blast with this one.
Well, and I love that. I think that, I mean, I'm guessing, Mike, you're having a blast doing it too. It's like I said, a little bit different than what you've been doing, which kind of helps, like, with the creative juices and things like that. You're now illustrating issue 5 of this. Have you gotten into a routine or are you used to it yet of murdering people?
Yeah, I took to it quite quickly. Uh, yeah, it's a nice. I should say it's nice to draw people being murdered, but uh, you know, just from where it came from,
Yeah.
it's a new thing to sort of dip your feet into, and definitely, yeah, I'm starting issue 5 here. I definitely feel like I'm in the groove now in the book and enjoying it, and I think it's turned out really well.
Because there is a balance too. I mean, there's definitely panels of a woman cutting a melon, putting her AirPods in, getting ready to talk or to listen to her podcast, and then there's pretty gruesome panels on there. So you have to have both sides of things. So there's like and you almost have to have it obviously calm, cool, and collective to have the visceral murdering to go on. So there's that balance in the panels that you're just like you turn the page, you're like, what the fuck just happened? And that's
Yeah,
what this comic book has, and that's a little fun. But blood spurting and things like that, it's a little different. And it's it's fun to get into, and I think it's the same. It's different, but the same in the sense that I am looking towards horror comics all the time. I'm always wanting to go towards horror comics. It's probably a similar mentality to those people who want to read the true crime podcast. They just have this love and passion for it. It's just a little bit different. Like I said, it's based in true real life and based in fiction stories, a little bit different. So you've now blended the two of these two with Murder Podcast. And so you said you're working on issues 6, 7, things like that. I mean, are you hoping this to be ongoing, or is this a maxi series? What's the plan for Murder Podcast, Jeremy?
It's a maxi series.
Okay.
It'll wrap up with issue 8. We wanted When we talked about it initially, we were like, oh, this is a tight 5. And then I did the writerly thing, and I was like, but I have so many things that I want to tell with this. I have so many moments. Um, it's a story I think that can go on, but
Mm,
like the satisfying thing, the thing that we wanted to do with this was tell a story that had a decided beginning, middle, and end, and a character flow throughout it. Um, eight's just a nice number, like
mhm.
for this. It really fit. We I knew it wasn't 5. Like we initially when we talked about it, we're like, it's 5. And then um I came to Mike and I was like, are you cool doing 8? Uh but it really added a layer that we needed.
Mhm.
Um, could have been more, but
And there's
I
some
also don't want to pad stuff.
yes, exactly. Is Ignition, so Ignition's this new publisher that you have these comic books coming out. Is this gonna be like an 8 collected issue? Do you know what the plan is for the actual like future of these things? Because 8 issues is a weird, not weird, but like it's very not unusual, but like more unusual than usual to see that long of a series. I mean, 5 issues seems like a good trade paperback, whereas 8's a little bit too much. Is there a
Well,
plan for that? Like, I don't want to get a cart
yeah.
before the horse, but like.
one of the things that we have is that we did the cold open, which
Mhm.
the cold open is effectively an issue zero,
Yeah.
and we have that, and you know when you do a trade, you want it to be at least 100 pages, right?
Yeah.
Like that's most like five
Mhm.
issue miniseries breakdown because they're also most companies do 20-page issues now.
Yes.
We don't.
Mhm.
Our standard issue length is 22 pages, like old school.
Mhm.
But then we have a little bit of play with that throughout an arc. So we have about 10 extra pages that we can kind of play with.
Mhm.
So the idea for this is we're going to release it as two trades. There is Mike just finished it. There is an absolute great moment at the end of issue four that like everything builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and then this thing in issue four happens, and that is a great spot to leave off on. And then we're
Mhm.
doing volume
Yeah.
two, but it's not. But they aren't skimpy.
Yeah.
We like we're each trade will be 100 pages
Mhm.
or slightly more even.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we wanted to give people a value that we felt like was important. The other thing, one of the things that we really wanted to do with Ignition was try to keep trade at that 1999 price
Mhm.
point. You they're getting a lot higher than that
Yes.
regularly for
Yes.
even slimmer volumes
Yes.
right
Yes.
now. I'm trying to say it in a really
No,
positive,
it is.
good
It's
to the
just
industry way.
it's disappointing sometimes when I walk up to the shelf and like, oh, look at this new trade came out and it says 24.99 on it,
Yeah,
and there's not any longer. It's almost even
right.
shorter and honestly printed in material that's not as nice a material even. And that to me
Yeah,
is always like it's kind of a letdown because like it basically costs the same as it is for me to buy all five issues and should be a little bit more of a break on it or whatever or what just the same and sometimes it's
right.
more and I don't understand that sometimes I'm like and I'm a kind of guy who buys floppy. I love floppy
Hmm.
comic books like that's
Hmm.
to me single issues are going to be amazing and I do love like variant covers and things like that. I don't think that Murder Podcast number one should have 100 variant covers, but
Sure.
a few
That's
variant
my
covers
point.
is yeah, it is it's perfect for me. And so there is that, but I'm also the kind of guy who like I like Murder Podcast so much that I'll buy the trade too, so I can actually have something to, like read instead of taking the bags and boards out every
Right,
time, and I can just pick it up
right,
off the shelf and read it and stuff like that. So when it's like buying the comic book over again sometimes or more and sometimes it kind of hurts the
right.
wallet so yeah so keeping it under $20 makes a lot of sense especially with the price of things going up nowadays you're not going to sell as many and have people reading your story you've worked so hard on if it's really expensive.
And we believe in the
Yeah.
value of the thing, right? Like I mean, like everything from the paper quality that we chose for the books, the cover stock, just how it feels in the hand was really important to us. We want to
Mhm.
give you genuine value for what you're getting. And stories we believe in. It's art that we think, that we are incredibly excited about and think that
Mhm.
you're going to love. It's a quality. Um, not to get too like, you know, out there with our philosophy with it, but we believe that if we give you a product that actually matters and is connective, it's going to be a good thing. And
Mhm.
we can have that butterfly effect of just making the industry just a little bit better each time.
And speaking of variant covers, Mike, you have a variant cover on these that are connectives too. Is that correct? So issue one, two, three. Is all eight issues are going to connect, or is this volume one? What's going on with that?
Well, so far 1 to 5 connects. Uh, to be determined
What
if
goes on from there?
yeah, 6, 7, and 8 will connect. Yeah, we haven't totally discussed that yet, but yeah, the first 5 issues connect. So
Yeah,
There's
and it has. They're so good with the people like killing each other in the background, just phenomenal. I love it. It's one of those like weird things that I think I typed in Murder Podcast number one cover or whatever, and I think the first cover that came up actually was the B cover, like on Google Images or whatever. And I was like, oh, this is really awesome. And then obviously it's not cover A, it's cover B. But then yeah, all the covers are great too. The whole thing is it has this cool vibe to it. And I don't, like I said, sometimes I can't explain it. I just read a book recently that I'm like, I really am into where this is located. And like the author's not describing things overly, but I could somehow picture it in my head, and I was just couldn't figure out why and pinpoint why I was able to do this. And there's something with this issue one that I read, in issue two, just the idea that there's something I can't pinpoint why I like it so much, but I do, and it's pretty cool. I don't know. Like I said, I don't want. I wish I could tell you guys it's this, and this, but it's people just need to read it. How about that? They can decide for themselves.
That's good for us.
Yeah, that
We're
works.
perfectly fine with that.
Exactly. And I wanted to mention too, the lettering's great too. GC Hopkins did the lettering for World, and it's phenomenal too. There's a I'm not going to explain everything, but there's a panel where they're explaining who the people are, and they have all those letters, and it just laid out well in that sense too. And the lettering is really good too. And DC's excellent at DC's job of lettering this comics too. Was it fun to work with DC as well? I mean, I guess have you worked with DC before, Jeremy?
Uh, this is my first time
Okay.
actually working, but um, you know, we really believe in and world stuff and
Mm,
like love what they're doing, and uh, I think we're going to continue this,
mhm.
and until they get bored with us and move on or something like that. But basically, like it's the vibe is perfect.
Mm,
That's I think that's one of the things too, like from Scott Newman is our designer,
yeah.
and on the book we got Ann World on lettering. Nick Filardi is coloring this. Like every single piece of this is so intentional and so thought out. Taking it back to like the design,
Mm,
like the logo, we talked about what we wanted to do for the logo. We talked about the vibe of the lettering. All these things fit together in a way that uh nothing happens because we have to do it at the last second.
mm.
Everything that Ignition is doing is intentional, except for when we screw up. But
Excuse
that's,
me.
yeah,
Hey, yeah, you intentionally did it to see if people noticed it.
yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
No, but it's true though. I've actually had these long conversations at my local comic book store, Galactic Comics and Collectibles. Is that why sometimes I'm like, oh, so and so this happened and the comic book's delayed. I'm like, it's the next issue. Why are we always so far behind? And you guys are all busy and it works well, but like being able to be 5 issues in, mostly done, when the first issue comes out would be so amazing. And I know it's budgetary, I know it's paying people, I
Yeah.
know there's a reason behind it, but it feels so nice to know that I'm at least gonna get 5 issues of Murder Podcast basically. Instead of if something serious happens, we're not gonna get anything, but like they're mostly done. So it's nice to hear. You know what I mean?
It, I mean, look, we're all fans too.
Yes.
We've had that thing
Yeah.
where you get issue one and it comes out, and when they say it's going to, and issue two, it's like it's a week late,
Yeah.
and by issue three, the wheels have kind of fallen off, and issue four kind of finally comes out a year later, and I know how the sausage is made. I've
Yeah.
seen how hard everybody's working, and I know that sometimes we're tilting at windmills when we're making comics. We're just doing the impossible task. But as a company, one of the things that we felt like our responsibility was to plan this out in a way that we do what we say we're going to do when we say we're going to
Mhm.
do it. That's old farm mentality. That's something my grandpa said to me growing up constantly, and it's a thing that we believe in at Ignition. It's like if we say we're going to put a book out, and one of the things like that traditionally comics were released on a every 4 week basis.
Mhm.
As time has gone by, one of the things that happens with that is you get you get retail partners having to order books completely speculatively.
Mhm.
They don't know how a book is going to do when they're ordering the next issue. So
Mhm.
we're releasing these on a 6 week basis, which is you know a little different than what we did classically, but I don't notice like whenever I go to the shop,
Yeah.
I don't, unless I'm really, really tied in, like when something's coming out. If it's a 5 week or 6 week thing between it, just,
Yeah.
we didn't want to hit bi-monthly, but it was very important to us to make sure that retailers could order the book and know how it was going to
Mm,
do
mm,
before we asked them to get, like, by the time you get to issue three and people still aren't, really seeing, they've had to order three issues. That's really, really
mm.
rough. So yeah.
Well, it's true. I mean, I've a number of conversations I've had with the owner of Galactic Comics about how like he's had to force to order issue two before the issue one has even hit the shelves yet. And it's
Mhm.
like one of those things that like it's the onus is on him to hopefully sell all those comics and hopefully it does well and so on and so forth. Or not dive too far into it and then screw the whole thing up because now he's trying to place reorders and all that stuff. Like having this a little bit of a gap between it. But like there was, I'm not going to name comics, but there's comics that were out there that was like waiting 3 months in between issues, and you kept. I read the first issue like 16 times because I kept on rereading it to remember where we were 3 months later, and I kept
Mhm.
on going and to the point where I'm like I could memorize and just say out loud what the
Mhm.
first issue was all about,
Yeah.
and recite it because of the fact that that. But yeah, so I like it that there's passion behind it, and the people that you guys have on a creative team there all care. And we talked, with your new marketing person, Steph, right before. I mean,
Yeah.
they seem very excited to be doing this, and it's not like
Yeah.
just another job. And that's what's really cool. I'm guessing from creators down to all the way down to people working in your offices or doing office work, it seems like they're passionate about doing this, and that includes Murder Podcast and all the other stuff at Ignition.
Yeah. It's look, it's hard work. I mean, like, let's uh I I wake up and I'm excited to do this
Yeah.
every day. I hope that you're excited to draw the silly things that I write, Mike, every day. But like the reality of this is it's still incredibly hard
Mhm.
work. I mean, it's long hours spent at the
Yep.
table. I always kind of have this thing that I say where it's like, we are people of all the genders sitting in dark rooms for long hours making things that we don't know if anybody's going to ever give a
Yeah.
shit about.
Yeah.
Hopefully, but like we put a lot of ourselves into making these things. And we I just finished my company-wide Monday meeting, Zoom call before this, and you're sitting there talking about the hard stuff that you have to do. These things are on fire, these things are whatever it is, but it's still people that lead with care. They
Mm.
still want to make sure that things happen in the right way. And every conversation that we have always runs through this cool filter of how do we make this matter to the creatives? How do we make this matter to the shops? And how do we make this matter to the fans? And we don't just want to settle for one. We don't just
Mm.
want to settle for, like it's all important. And I think the
Mm.
more that we realize that we're a community doing these things, the better it is for all of us.
And Murder Podcast, I believe, is that. And I think that you have. That I am a big fan of your writing, Jeremy. I've read everything you've basically put out there, and now I've got another collective thing to have is any artwork done by Mike over here because, like I said, I loved it so much, and that stood out to me. And the partnership between the two of you in this series, people are gonna like. I think people are really they're gonna take a shining to it. And they're gonna like this style, this storytelling ability, and I think that having it surround true crime podcasting is going to bring I think another group of people into it, which is great too. Which is another thing that can pull the people into this comic book series. I've only read issue one, and I like I said, sometimes I've definitely given glowing reviews. I will say about an issue one, and then eaten my words by issue five. So I will say, but I always have I've had very good luck with what you've done, Jeremy. So like, there's no you have a good track record in my mind, but I definitely have said glowing reviews to the point where they put my pull quote on the back of the trade paperback, and I read the whole trade, and I'm like, oh God, why did I do that? But I believe in Murder Podcast for sure, and it's a fun thing. And so Mike, you're illustrating, you're doing all this work for this series. I'm guessing, like Mike, Jeremy said, you must be. Hopefully, you're excited to draw his silly
Oh
things
yeah.
on page. Are you still working in the animation or industry,
No,
as you say,
I'm
or job?
no, I'm full-time Murder Podcast since I think early in the year. There was a bit of crossover there
Yeah.
late last year. We started I think back in October, and yeah, full-time Murder Podcast. It's been great.
That says something in my opinion. Either that or he works you to the bone, and it's just too much work to do anything else.
A
A
Either
little bit
you
of
like it or
all.
you have to.
Yeah.
He has you you're chained to the table, right? You're not allowed to
Yeah,
leave.
yeah. You're
It's a
shackled.
it has a
Yeah.
but it has an ignition press logo on it though, so it's okay, right? It's official.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
you can auction that off afterwards after you're done with
It's
after he
very well
releases
lit.
you after
Yeah.
Blink 3 times if you're chained to the
exactly
table.
exactly. I mean, so everything is
Um,
coming. Everything is at Ignition right now, including Murder Podcast, is new. Like it's a new series. Minus is one, right? I mean, is the beauty new stuff or is the beauty a reprinting of the original stuff? What's going on with the beauty?
yes, all. Why not all?
Yeah, I'm
Um,
on for whatever you want to do with the beauty. I'll tell you that much right now.
so um, we, you know, we wanted we did 30 issues of the Beauty at Image, and we loved that entire thing. And Hurley and I always, even though we had like a real thematic ending with issue 30,
Mhm.
it really came back to the start of the story and did a thing exactly the way we wanted to do it. So we were always like, if we never get anything else, we're happy with
Mhm.
this. But man, we always had other stories we wanted to tell. It's a world that's just, it's filled with questions.
Mhm.
What about this? What about this? And we only got through a quarter of the kind of things that we sort of wanted to talk about. And we knew that, we are going to have a show on
Mhm.
FX, and it is coming right up. Ryan Murphy and his amazing team. Uh, you know, when we found out that there was a possibility that we were going to get a show,
Mhm.
I was like, if nobody can do this except Ryan Murphy, and then Ryan Murphy was the guy that ended up doing the show. And we had an opportunity to reprint the new, or sorry, reprint the original series.
Yeah.
We wanted to do it in a way that felt special and intentional. I mean, for us, we wanted to
Mhm.
do something that kind of really mattered. So there were 6 volumes of the original series. We're doing 2 of the volumes in one of the new collections. So you get volume 1 and 2 are now volume 1 of this new one. It's $20 still. So you're getting, I think, 11 issues in that first trade for $20. We felt like it was important with these. If you're going to
Mhm.
reissue something, we're
Yeah.
going to make it special, and we're going to make it incredibly cost effective. They're beautifully designed, and real attention to detail, kind of taking, going through each one, making sure that they're in great shape. They've got extra stuff. So we're releasing those. There'll be 3 new volumes, or 3 reissued volumes. And then we've got the new series,
Yeah.
and we are hitting the ground running. It is Emanuela Lupacchino is drawing it, and if you know her from her work at DC, she does some Titan stuff.
Mhm.
She, uh, again, as I said with Mike, that thing where you're like, well, I'm only going to work with people that are better than me. The series has never, and I, I just say this with nothing but love and admiration from everybody that, I mean, we had uh Mike Huddleston, Stephen Green,
Mhm.
Brett Weldley, I said, messed up his name there, Brett Weldley, Thomas Naturally. Like, we had an amazing crew working on that book all the way through it. Um, Emma is just coming, like, she came in and like threw down hard. She got to see the entire series and what had kind of come before, so she knew
Mhm.
what she wanted to do, and she is just rocking it. Um, we She is drawing issue 3 right now. We're writing issues 4 and 5. kind of simultaneously. It's, by the time it's out in late October, uh, we're gonna have some good stuff.
Mhm.
Um, we kind of had this thing where we were like, how much do you guys want to do? I realize that I'm saying I am ignition, so it's that
Yeah,
weird thing
yes,
where
yes,
like
yeah,
I'm asking myself in a way, but I always with decisions about my own books, I ask my partners.
yeah.
I ask our publisher Philip Sablik and Jamie S. Rich, our editor in chief. You know, I'm like, I have to kind of recuse myself from this part of the conversation, so I'm going to ask, how much do you want to do? And they were like, how much? How much do you
Do
want to
you want to
do? Like,
do?
it was lovely. So we're just gonna tell some beauty stories. If
Hmm.
people like this and like where we're going and like what we're doing, we're
You
we're
ready?
gonna, we're gonna, we're gonna do it for a good while.
There you
Just
go.
see what happens.
Well, I was saying to someone the other day, I'm a sucker for these new release of things too. I have pretty much every release of Revival. Like there's
Mhm.
hardcovers, special editions, single, like, everything in Revival I have. Tim Seeley and Mike Norton did a phenomenal job on that series, in my opinion. So I've just always bought the next thing. Same with
Mhm.
Nailbiter. I've got all the Nailbiter stuff. Like so, like to me, it's like the beauty stuff. Like, hey, you keep on doing this. You can release it all in one thing. You do the hardcovers, whatever. You're gonna get a buyer here, and so by making it more affordable, makes it helps my wallet too. Thank you very much, Jeremy. I appreciate it.
Well,
But
I mean, again, we're all fans of these
yeah,
things, and we
yeah.
all, and one of the things that doesn't get talked about nearly enough in this industry is just sustainability.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, you're talking about rebuying things.
Yeah.
I have every edition of Hellboy ever. It doesn't matter. He could release it in Chick tracks, and
Yeah.
I would buy it again. I probably would buy them for $50 a piece because I'm an
Yes.
idiot. But but the reality of it is that, like, I love these things, but I
Mhm.
also, we feel a lot of obligation to our fan base. And it's like, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna try to make it special
Mhm.
and affordable at the same time. And
Mhm. It,
you know,
it it helps. It helps. Like I said, it's one of those things you can price out a comic book fan. I know people who have slimmed down their list now that a lot more comics are more expensive or things like that. So like there you end up getting less people reading things if they're more expensive. I know there's more costs and things like that nowadays. I understand that, and I do feel like creators need to be paid better. So there is that side too. But like it hurts everybody when things are overpriced and they don't need to be overpriced, if that makes any sense. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm excited.
absolutely.
So Murder Podcast, number one. So cold open is available, and then you have Murder Podcast number one coming out here in September. And then you've got
Mhm.
obviously Ignition. It's like full force right after that, isn't it? It's like pretty much every week you've got a new Ignition comic book
Y-
coming out.
yeah, we're doing two, sometimes three releases a month.
Hmm.
That's kind of where we're gonna be. Um, we wanted to look. The reality of it is that there's, again, with all due damned respect, there is so much stuff coming on
Yeah.
hitting the shelves every single week. I mean, you know, uh, we in the company, we show our pull lists, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
like this, these stacks of stuff, right? Um, the reality of it is that, like, it's not, it's just, there's so much stuff coming out, and it's a weird time.
Yeah.
So we wanted to put things out consistently. So, like, two books a month, maybe three, depending on what we've got coming out. But not really going to oversaturate the market with what we're doing right
Hmm.
now. We also just want to shine a light on every book. I mean,
Hmm.
you're getting Murder Podcast on September 10th, and
Hmm.
forgive me, I'm going to mess this up because my brain's broken. Um, I think it's either the next week or the
It's the
following week.
17th is Voyeur, right? Voyeur
Okay,
number
so
one.
that's,
Yep.
yeah, so that's just a week later.
Yeah.
Um, Voyeur number one comes out, and that's Leah Williams writing with David Baldione on
Mm.
art, and it is so, so, so good and completely different in the best
Yeah.
sort of way from Murder Podcast. We wanted to give people different tastes of stuff, and like
Yeah.
let you find that, like, the you know it sounds lofty and maybe a little bit pretentious thing to say, but like we really look at like A24 as
Yeah.
a film uh, distributor, and like the thing about A24 is like Hereditary is not you know like Warfare is
Yeah.
not like I'm now that I own the Death of a Unicorn. Like
Yeah.
each of these things are slightly different, but the thing that unifies them is that they're good.
Yeah.
And if I see something's coming out from A24, it may not be my bag, but I'll at least try it.
Mhm.
And so we wanted that, and so we love that that you're getting Murder Podcast, and then a week later you're getting Voyeur, and but we want to shine a light on each one, and we
Mhm.
really want to give you as much information as the reader or as a retailer buying something about each book, and not just
Mhm.
be like, oh, this is the one we're going to pay attention and put money behind.
Mhm.
We really want it to be very, very fair, and
Yes, exactly. It
we're
makes
trying.
sense, and if it's one shots by putting them out 4 weeks in a row, it makes sense. You can pick, but you're gonna have this issue two coming out, and so you have issue three, and if you're liking multiple series, it means now you're adding 3 or 4 comics to your pull list from Ignition. So I understand like spreading them out like that helps
Mhm.
even out. The purchasing power of some of your readers and collectors and things like that too. So that's nice. And you have a local comic book shop day release of the Beauty. It sounds like too,
Mhm.
which is coming out too, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, I said the Murder Podcast is definitely, a great launching point for this. I think it's well written and well illustrated, well colored, well lettered, well designed, well everything. And I'm not just saying that because the two of you were on here. It's true. I wouldn't have wanted to have talked to you guys if it was shit. So there's that, and it's a very awkward conversation. We were like, yeah, the book sucks, but yeah, let's talk about it. It's excellent. I think
Right.
that's cool, and I think it fits that. Like I said, it fits the void that I've had missing from some comics that I've wanted as of recent. And so, having another book to read from you, Jeremy, and again, being introduced to your artwork as a sequential artist in comics, Mike, has been phenomenal. So keep it up. I want to see more from you. I want your fingers to be bleeding because you're working so hard. But no, it's excellent to see. And like I said, couldn't have better launch. I mean, in my opinion, for Ignition is having this book out there because I think it's excellent. So, September 10th it hits shelves. Make sure you let your LCS know that you want it, and get it, and buy issue two as well. Because just tell them now you want it because I guarantee you that you're gonna want it, right? I mean, I believe that's true.
I I agree. And yeah, and I mean the crazy thing is, look, I I think this is the kind of thing that I was wanting to see on the
Yeah,
shelves.
yeah.
And look, I am too deeply embedded at Ignition. I'm self-serving and wanting my stuff to, do well. I also, believe in Mike, and I mean, like, one thing that I say as often as I can is like, I'm honored that I get this moment,
Mhm.
with him doing this thing, because the reality of it is there can be a point where I can't get him to draw anything for me anymore because he's going to be too damn popular. But I am going to make the most of it while I can.
Well, I mean, you got Murder Podcast right now, and then 12 years from now, you'll be able to do something else with Mike. So it's fine.
Right, right.
You could,
When
Yes.
he's like, I've done everything else that I want to do. I'm gonna slum and come back and do, yeah.
I need to pay my bills, Jeremy. Can I
Right,
can I work for
right,
you
right,
again? But yeah,
right.
it's such every 12 years you're gonna work on a project together. It's gonna be great. Don't worry about it. It's
It's
it's it's fine. No,
the best.
like I said, I hope personally, on a selfish level, Mike, that you don't disappear from interiors of comic books because if it's not Murder Podcast, I'm gonna be picking up whatever's next for you because like I said, I fell in love with your artwork. It's phenomenal. It fits the story so well, and I'm really excited for people to read it and pick it up and actually see it. So yeah, congratulations to both of you for getting this comic book to hit shelves on September 10th from Ignition Press. I'm really excited for it, as you can
Thanks, man.
tell. But yeah, I appreciate you both taking time out of your busy schedules, making these comics and doing all the fun stuff that we don't get to see behind the scenes. But yeah, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk to us here at the podcast. We'll have you both on at some point in time in the future when something else is willing to talk about and you want to just shoot off about things. But until then, thank you so much again for taking time out and talking to us.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.